So, I'll be honest with you guys, I feel embarrassed, but I didn't know a platypus was a real animal. I thought it was just a Pokemon.
It's not even a Pokemon, though. What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. I thought a platypus...
Did you think Perry the Platypus was a Pokemon?
I just thought a platypus was a Pokemon. What's that?
Another letter.
Oh, these damn ghosts.
Okay, but it's me now, and now it's special. Alright. Here we are at the end. I hope you've come to think of me as your friend. I saw the TV glow is where we'll stop. I have a present for you, but please don't swap. Okay. In this room is your final clue. Amanda is in a place with quite the view. Find my last gift, I'll give you this. In a long-lost media form, many dismiss. This will lead you to this foolish young miss. Yours truly, Library Ghost.
So she's in Bora Bora?
She's in a videotape!
Oh.
How did you keep Bora Bora out of
She
this?
said a place with a really nice view.
Yeah, but no, like there's like a legitimate videotape in here somewhere. Hold on.
Is it in that bad?
No.
Wait.
No, it's gotta be like by the lake, right?
Oh, because of the view?
Well, I would assume. Yeah. Hold on. What?
The library.
Okay, but there's another note.
Yes.
Are you gonna? Do you want me to do like?
Blue, read the note.
You read the note.
Oh boy, this is terrifying. Look at that. Is that blood? It sure looks like
I don't know how I feel about that.
One of your partners was caught being naughty. Down in the basement, acting incredibly haughty. Excited, she came with candles and board. After a smart co-worker's warnings were ignored. I'm pretty sure I'm the smart co-worker.
Sure.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
Confidently, she spoke aloud to get attention. I answered and sent her to another dimension. If you wish to see the state of her shape, please watch her demise on this videotape.
That's really giving me strong vibes of when I got a similar thing in college.
There's literally a bloody handprint on it. Why are you touching it?
Should
Simona!
Should we watch the tape?
Where am I? What's going on? I don't get it. What's going on? Guys? Hello? Is anybody there? Please? Please? Help me! Help me! I can't. Am I on the TV? What? Get me out! Get me out! Get me out!
Alright, welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians, Mayapack Public Library's pop culture podcast. This week, the Library Ghost has chose I Saw the TV Glow for us to watch for our final film in this series. It's directed by and written by Jane Schoenbrunn. This is their second film, and it's amazing and devastating, and let's go.
Yes, let's go. I'll bat lead off as usual. Initial thoughts. I'm gonna keep the initial thoughts brief because there's a lot of other intricacies that I think we should dive into. Initial thoughts are, I believe the first sentence I said to Joe yesterday was, "This movie me up." For those of you that it was bleeped for, this movie messed me up. It affected me. I think one thing is that I did not expect it to be as heavy as it was. It is a heavy movie. It is a sad movie. And I was not expecting that. But it is an excellent movie. It's nice when, no offense to Ringo Zero or whatever, or Ringu Zero, but a movie that like this that uses the horror genre to have so much heart into it and so much pain into it is really remarkable. Again, there are places in the world for the Ringo
Yeah.
Zeros, but this was exceptional.
Yeah.
So that was my initial.
So I can give like a brief synopsis
Oh,
after that
synopsis.
lovely
Let's synopsis.
introduction for it, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted, so thank
Yeah.
you. So it's about two teenagers that are kind of outcasts. It begins in 1996 when they're younger, and then still we're in the 90s when they're both in high school, and they're both obsessed with this TV show called The Pink Opaque. And it's about two girls that meet at summer camp and have like psychic abilities, and it's a Monsters of the Week kind of TV show. Very
help-
similar to things that we all watched in the 90s, like Buffy.
They help each other defeat the
Mr.
monsters,
Melancholy.
even though they live on different sides of the county.
Yeah.
Through a psychic connection.
Very interesting show. And the movie plays very heavily with time and what is reality, what is real, how time is passing. And the show bleeds into their reality in very devastating and interesting ways, honestly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it captured the 90s nostalgia feel very well. I loved seeing people without phones in their hands. Like, I really enjoyed it.
What a statement.
I just do. At first, I couldn't really, with the Buffy connections, at first I was like, oh, I don't really think there are a whole lot of Buffy connections. And I feel silly saying that now, but then like thinking about it, I was like, yeah, okay, I see some of the connections.
I have one of the. So I organized. I was to type it. I didn't get to type it today, but I organized into 3 or 4 different kinds of things.
Yeah.
And one of them was the Buffy connections.
Okay.
So we can talk about the Buffy connections because
Okay.
there are quite a few that I noticed as well.
Okay. But overall, I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed, as I told everyone before we were recording, the ending made me sob, and it's been many years since a film made me react in any sort of way. It was just so devastating, where we see Owen end up in the story. I think what also got me too was the fact that he was apologizing to people who were essentially ignoring him, not acknowledging him. And I think that's what broke me, because he's a character that has always been apologizing all of his life for who he is, what he values, what he likes. And it just got me thinking more about people who have to sacrifice who they are, who have to make apologies for who they are because it's not acceptable, not correct, or, even the line when his father says that you want to watch that show, isn't that a girl's show? And many people can relate to that, how your tastes aren't considered, that's a boy thing or that's a girl thing. It reminds me of some things I've heard in the library parents say to their kids. So that really devastated me because he is alone, he is isolated, and the one connection he had to reality, she's no longer there, and you don't really know what has happened to her, which I think is even more heartbreaking.
Piggybacking off that a little bit, one thing that really stuck out to me on this viewing was how, pretty early on in the film, I think during the first sleepover scene, there's a bit where Maddie just tells him, don't apologize, just kind of flatly and without much thought. And I don't know, it hit me like, damn, that might be the only time this kid has ever heard that. But yeah, I adore this movie. This was my second watch through. I was fortunate enough to see it with a Q&A from Bridget Lundy Payne afterwards. And they brought in some insights that I'd like to share later on too.
Oh, cool.
But God, just what a film. Yeah, easily one of the best of the year, if not the best of the year. Check this stuff out. This is so emotionally raw and vulnerable, but delivered in just such a well thought out and package, and the stuff it references, it's not just references, it's an actual intertextuality that, like, you know, there's a reason why, like, oh, an actress from Buffy shows up, and, like, it's drawing on those things, not just in terms of, like, oh, hey, you remember that, but, like, what it represented to a lot of people. And
Yeah, it's like you were saying, Simona, what really, like, it's one of those movies that makes your chest ache, especially if you relate to it, which a lot of queer people do, and people in the LGBTQ community, they will relate to this. And it's that, what I found so devastating about that final scene where you see Owen take a box cutter to his chest to reveal that, like, the TV static on the inside, because what Maddie was saying, how they are actually part of the Pink Opaque, and Maddie is actually Tara and Owen is Isabel. And then to have him embrace it and acknowledge it and be happy that it's there, but then to, like, close it back up and shove it back down is so just, my God.
And also him, like, having his asthma attack, I think, during the scene, too,
Oh,
I think is
yeah.
another thing that broke me. Or even, like, the perfunctory, like, check-in from the call, like, hey, buddy, you doing okay?
you know,
I think
Yeah.
that bothered me, too, because other than Maddie, and I understand also she was broken in her own way, that she probably couldn't fully embrace the friendship, because their friendship is a little odd.
She paid someone to kill her.
Yeah, she can't
Like,
fully
it's-
embrace it. She can't fully be there for him, and I think maybe the way he needs her to be. And like his colleague in that one moment, like, that angered me. I wanted to, like, smack them both.
played by
yeah.
Connor O'Malley.
Yeah.
Very funny comedian. Check out his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I think he's used to great effect in this, but at the same time, whenever I watch this, I'm always like, it almost feels irresponsible to let this guy run around in this movie.
Yeah, so it's like that bothered me too, how he's still being mocked for who he is, you know, even by his colleagues. And
And I understand,
Yeah.
like, I understand that it would have been, like, really great for him if Maddie could be there, but it's also not her responsibility to be either. She's dealing with her own things.
You know, that's interesting that you say that, though, Simona, because I feel like Maddie tried.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'm not saying let me rephrase. Maddie was going through a lot. I'm not saying that she was responsible for making his life rainbows. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I think she did the best she could. I think I love the scene when she's reading the TV guide for the episodes. And at first she's just content, okay, go away, I'm in my zone. But how that breaks the ice. So I appreciate that. Like, I think she was trying.
What
You know.
I think Lou means is, like,
Yeah.
toward the end where
yeah, when
she's
Maddie comes
like,
back, yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to, like, come
yeah.
with me. This is what happened to me.
Yeah.
This is what's happening to you. Because they are both members of the LGBTQ community. That's very clear. They're isolated from everyone else. They're involuntarily ostracized almost. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
Maddie's is especially
Yeah.
explicit. That scene on the bleachers,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
she says,
She
like,
does say it,
I
yeah.
like girls,
Yeah.
the fact she has to put that out there just to be like, I hope this guy doesn't try to hit on
Yeah.
me, and to, like, she talks about her friend lying about her, and
yeah, which is awful.
and
yeah. What
Owen's response in that scene when she asks him if he likes girls is so
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
Wait, I have it written down here somewhere.
Yeah, we talked about
I think that I like TV shows. When I
Yeah.
think about that stuff, it feels like someone took a shovel and dug out all my insides. I know there's nothing in there, but I'm still too nervous to open myself up and check. I know there's something wrong with me. My parents know it too, even if they don't say anything.
and that's such, like, a echoed feeling for so many queer people and just anyone in the LGBTQ community. You feel like there's something wrong with you because society tells you there is, whether that's true or not. And it's just, we talked about that scene was just devastating, where it's like, there's something wrong with me. I know there's something wrong with me because society is telling me something should be there, and it's not.
shout out to Justice Smith.
Oh
This
the
is-
performance.
Yeah, no, I've liked him in other
Incredible.
movies. Like I thought he was charming in Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. But
Yeah.
here, oh my god, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the a lot of the performances in this film, at least the two central ones, are delivered with a pretty flat affect, and that's very intentional. But like, just what he does to his voice, like it sounds just pained and strangulated,
Yeah.
and like and his body language throughout too, just how
Yeah.
Yeah.
how he crumples himself up. And, like I think it's
Yeah.
funny. I see like some people be like, God, like why did they get him to play a ninth grader? Because in one section of the film, he's supposed to be a ninth grader, but
Yeah.
like I think that like if you think about it for a little bit, it's like, well, I think that's part of the point is that like clearly this body is difficult for him.
Yeah.
This isn't he. Yeah.
That's a really great way to put it. So we talked about that. Yeah. I just his performance really makes it too. Really gets across the message that Jane wanted. Because I was reading the article that you sent, Joe, and going through the interview with the director and writer and how this was not autobiographical, but echoed a lot of their experiences.
Yeah.
And
They wrote this
It's-
3 months into hormone replacement therapy, so
Yes.
yeah.
yeah, I think for me, that end scene really, because I did watch that more than once, where he like breaks and starts screaming into the air for someone to help him because he's dying because he can't take it anymore. And we know that now he's technically not alone. Has a family, and the delivery of that line
Yeah.
where he's like moving the flat screen into the house,
He
he's like,
has a family.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they mean the world to him.
It's so flat and
Yeah.
emotionless and clearly such a lie. It's so devastating.
It's really devastating, but it's also kind of funny.
Funny, yeah.
It's bleakly funny because all we see is just him get a new television. Like,
Yeah. That's just, yeah. That.
something that kind of jumped out at me on this viewing is that his father has a very similar relationship to the television as he does.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know exactly what to do with that. I don't know if it's implying that, like, his father was also somebody who sort of forced himself into a mold. And
I could see that,
Yeah.
though, especially with the way that he treats him with the TV show. Also, like, the mom is afraid of him,
Oh,
and that's very
100%.
clear.
I
They
actually
both are.
yeah,
Wrote that thing. I said both mother and son seem scared of father.
yeah,
Um,
Fred
Fred
Durst,
Durst.
scary performance here.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And what you were saying before about how, the parents know usually, and everything like that. The father obviously knew and chose to react the way he chose to react.
Yeah.
But the mother knew, and you could tell she was just terrified. And then when she dies, it's kind of like that's, somebody that supported him but was scared to voice it was gone.
Yeah.
Which also that scene when Owen goes to Amber Benson's house. I forget the kid's name, the mom. And
Johnny?
Johnny Link, yeah.
and says, I need you to call my dad. I need you to do this. And she doesn't even ask any questions. She just says, "Come in, sweetie. We'll figure it out." Like it's like,
Yeah.
how great is that? Like that's another like just pulling at you kind of moment.
There are good people in this. There's not many, but we do see that there are like rays of hope, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment of warmth in this film is Maddie's reaction to seeing Owen in Isabel's magic dress.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, just the joy and love on her face is really affecting.
Yeah.
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 Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so I went into this knowing what it was an allegory for.
Mhm.
So I really focused on a lot of the symbols. So what'd you call it before? You called it the movie's color language.
Yeah.
I mean, outstanding. I mean, you could so there's a with Owen when he's with Maddie, there are a lot of pinks, and when he's not with Maddie, when he feels like he needs to kind of regress into himself, that might not be the right word. There are a lot of blues. So you'll see the movie theater is a very blue hint. While obviously the pink opaque, when they're watching it, the actual glow of the TV is pink. The sleeping bag is pink. The shirt Owen's wearing when he leaves Maddie's house is pink.
The dress is pink.
The dress is pink. The when he's at the fair with his mom, the cotton candy is blue.
Yeah.
You know, so there.
God, his mom's in all pink.
Is the mom in all pink?
In that scene.
Yes.
She's in all pink.
So the director really did a phenomenal job with the color in it and making the color tell a story. There's also the part which this might be reaching, but there's a part where they're at the grocery store and Owen picks up leeks. Is it because the two dimensions, for lack of a better word, are blending together, are leaking together? I don't know. All I know is that
really love that.
there's nothing.
That's perfect.
There's nothing unintentional.
Nothing's
I feel like
off the
everything's
table.
intentional.
Here's the thing. There's another visual pun I noticed in here, which is when Owen's working at the movie theater, the weird sort of CG movie we see on screen is Transmorphers, which is a very low budget ripoff of Transformers. I think on one level it's just to suggest that the Midnight Realm is surreal and things like Transmorphers get shown, but also I think it might just be as simple as the name is a pun.
Transformers.
Absolutely, 100%.
The high school's called The Void.
Yeah,
It
high
is.
school.
Well, that's the billboards throughout the high school
Yeah.
Yeah,
are
like
also
pain.
crazy.
Like
Pain is
pain.
weakness leaving the body.
Yeah,
My God.
Who says that?
There's also
It's
one
not motivating.
that just says it's the Hamlet quote of "To thine own self be true," and it's just
Yeah.
one of the color schemes kind of reminded me of the color scheme for Buffy, like the high school, like the gold and the maroon.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is their color scheme.
It is, 'cause it's Buffy's cheerleading outfit.
Yeah. But yeah, the sign of I was trying to pay attention to some of the signs, that he passes as he's walking in the halls.
Which lovely scene too,
Yeah.
with all of Maddie's little notes about the episodes.
I
and-
love
Yeah.
those little notes. I really enjoyed it because that sounds like something someone who's wants their friend to catch up on would do, write all these notes for them, and why it's so awesome. And it kind of also reminded me, I don't know if this is what the director was doing, but in season 4 there's a part where Giles draws a stick figure of Buffy. And some of the illustrations reminded me of stick figure Buffy.
It probably is.
The director's a huge Buffy.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's really funny.
They made the cast watch, I think, at least the first 5 seasons of Buffy to prepare for the film. So
Okay, yeah, definitely then.
yeah,
Okay.
I saw one interview with Bridget Lundy Payne where they were like, yeah, at first it was kind of like when Owen's watching it, the Pink Opaque as an adult, I was like, this is corny and weird, and then they got a season or 2 and they're like, wait, this is amazing. This is a world where anything can happen and these people rely on each other and
Yeah.
and seeing what that represented to the characters and yeah.
I know with Josh Whedon being who he is, it sort of tainted the show to some extent, and I know the Buffy show is far from perfect, but within the show there were always queer subtext and text throughout
Yeah.
the show.
The actress in it plays a queer character in Buffy,
Yes,
right?
yeah. Amber Benson plays Tara, or Tara, depending on how you want to say it, who is the love interest of Willow when Willow goes to college, and she is sort of the one who basically allows Willow to acknowledge. And I'm not going to go too far, I always assumed Willow was bisexual, but that's not how the showrunners decided to take her story, but she's the one that helps Willow realize her sexuality to some extent, and also like opens her up to magic, which is used constantly as a sexual metaphor in season 4. But it is. One, like when we were reading the article, and the director was talking about the line where Buffy comes out to her mom as the Slayer and her mom's terrible reaction to it. But it reminded me of another line in season 3 where she says, "I've tried to march in the Slayer Pride Parade." So that line immediately came to me as I was reading your article. It's like, oh, there's that line too. So going with the whole metaphor. But also the whole thing with Buffy in the first 3 seasons is high school is hell, which is, which literal and metaphorical. And
Which
that's
it very much is here too.
yeah, and I like his whole scene of Owen when he's walking through the halls to eventually get to the AV room. Is it the AV? No, sorry, it's the dark room, not the AV room. Basically how he's just mindlessly walking through it. There's really no one in the halls, which kind of reminded me of Buffy. There's a lot of jokes how you go into school and no one's there. Like the after hours where it's like, oh, you're just... At one point I said, how are they in the school? How are they like...
Don't they lock doors?
I know,
Yeah.
like that's what I was saying. It's like,
Okay.
how are they in the school?
But it's Buffy.
Well,
Like,
that too, but also like with this movie, at one point, like when Maddie has reunited with Owen, and they're
not
in the
inside
football
the
school.
They are. They set up a planetarium.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
They do, yeah.
and I was like, how is this happening? I was like, never mind, Simona, that's not the point of this. But it was like, how are they doing this?
In this realm, it would make sense that they could do that. Though.
Yeah.
Though while we're on the hallway, I love Caroline Polachek. And her voice is so ethereal and beautiful, but also so devastating. And I love that the director did approach her to write a song for this. She just had this one in her back pocket because it didn't fit on her last album. She's like, this is perfect because
That's
it was
the one you're hearing throughout when they're in the school, like
when he's walking through the hallways.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All of the music
Yeah.
in this is
I was
so
just gonna
really-
say,
yeah.
the soundtrack's amazing.
But I really thought, like, that specific Caroline Polachek song, I
Yeah.
did more research on it because I was like, I want to know more about this because, yes, I love her and I loved Chairlift before they broke up and I love her solo stuff. But she wrote this with this kind of mindset and it fit really well with this, like, isolated teenagers and having this, like, teen frame of mind and emotional maturity.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just fits so well.
Yeah, that one, Anthems of a 17-Year-Old Girl, which I think plays at the beginning and the end,
Yes.
by Yule, is great. And then that scene in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
I love both.
Yeah.
What is her name? The one with Phoebe Bridges. What is her name?
Sloppy Jane.
Yeah.
Sloppy Jane and the Phoebe. That was
That
my
song
favorite. But
Yeah.
is outstanding. But even the
metal one after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
King Woman.
when
It's
she's
called-
screaming, like,
It's called Something Ruined. that
Honestly,
song.
I thought that was going to be a build-up to something, which maybe it is. And I like when she just starts screaming, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it was very haunting.
yeah,
And it did remind me of the Bronze. Like now that I'm thinking of
Yeah.
it,
yeah.
had the bands.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I also think it's a nod to Twin Peaks, which has performances in like a
okay.
seedy bar quite often.
Oh.
And especially in season 3, they do it about once an episode, and especially the King Woman performance, I think, is a nod to
Because in
a
Buffy,
Nine
the
Inch Nails
songs
bit.
Okay.
in the Bronze are always supposed to echo the inner turmoil of the characters.
Yeah.
Like it's always supposed to be a reference to what is going on. Yeah.
Interesting.
And like just listening to that whole performance, listening to Maddie, like honestly, when she's saying I have something to tell you, I was like, oh my god. Like I'm just like you're waiting for like something to just explode or something, and like Owen's reaction is believable where it's like, oh my god, like you've lost it. But then that feeling where what if she was right?
It's that is devastating to
I'm
me.
inclined to believe she's entirely right.
Yeah.
Like at first I kind of want to thought that, but then I was like, oh no, Smo, you're being too literal. And I
No,
was
like
Yeah.
Correct.
I think the movie has some of that tension, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you get to the fun center, literally everything is like
Yeah.
Mr. Melancholy theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I was noticing that
And
too
then
with the
the-
freaky ass moon. Like,
The graffiti on the street when she's like, there's still time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can we
Chalk.
talk about that? I loved the graffiti, like the children doodles, like the color scheme.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
And
oh,
again, what color was it in? It was in pink.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like pastels, like a
Yeah.
yeah. Like I loved that, and I did like the final message, like there is still time.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I love that because that's what I was saying before when we were like the ending is devastating, but also like Owen's working on accepting who they actually are
Yeah.
and pushing it back down right now, but still
Yeah.
there's some joy there, and it's never too late to
Yeah.
be who you are.
I
There's
think
always still time.
I think with the context that like I didn't know before Joe brought it up that the director didn't start to transition until much later in their lives. That almost makes me think that because after watching it I was like that's the bleakest ending there could ever be, but maybe knowing that the director kind of was able to find themselves later in life, maybe there is still hope for Owen. I didn't get that vibe in the movie.
So, two things from the Q&A that I feel may be relevant here. One was Bridget Lundy Payne just opened it up with being, so guys, do we think Owen's gonna be okay? And nobody raised their hand. But then they're like, they talked about how they did see some hope in the ending. So yeah. And another
Did they
one,
say did they say why they see hope in the ending? Like what?
they didn't get too far into
Oh.
it, but another bit that I think kind of adds to that. You remember the scene where the power line is down?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and there's all like the ephemera from TV Glow on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
One on the thing Owen picks up, there's an episode listing for season 6, episode 1.
Oh yeah, because it was
Escape
supposed.
from the Midnight Realm. So, they said like you can think of this film as the season 6 premiere.
Oh yeah, because
I love
technically the
that.
show ended at season
Yes.
5, which I know I'm going back to Buffy, but it's relevant here.
It's
No,
very-
yeah,
This
yeah.
time
It's relevant.
Yeah.
Which
I don't think the season 6 is accidental.
yeah, because season 5 technically is where the show was supposed to end with the death of
Buffy.
spoiler, with the death of Buffy.
Yeah.
And then season 6 she's brought back, and it's her, which is what I want to be like, the struggle between accepting that this is reality. And there's even an episode where they play with that, like where Buffy is in an asylum. And the whole thing is, well, have you always been in this asylum for the past 6 seasons? And they play with that a little bit, like whether or not she's in reality and this world that we know, like, well, that's your mental illness talking. You know, where you have these delusions of grandeur, like, you know, and at a certain point she wants to accept that, yeah, I'm just mentally ill and I'm going to stay here because it's safe and comfortable.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Which,
But I didn't see that, but that would be interesting. It would make me more hopeful because I want Owen to have his happy ending.
Yeah, I want Owen
And
to break free.
yeah, I definitely feel that hope is there, and maybe that's why, like, talking about it did help, but, like, it's never too late, and, like, that's always, like, you're never too old to come out, accept who you are, transition. It does not matter. It's never too late. You're never too old to accept who you are.
Speaking about color, so sorry, because it just came into my head now. I'm sorry. The juice. I'm sorry. The juice.
Luna juice.
Oh my
Jesus
God, yeah.
The
Christ.
Luna juice. That's
What a-
it's
yeah.
blue,
Blue,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that had.
Can
some
we
significance.
talk about the finale for
Yes.
Go Pig?
Oh my
The
God.
scariest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Their
creepy
hearts are
get
cut
cut
out,
out.
put in a freezer, and they're buried alive.
Which,
Like
As
what?
they're like vomiting this
Yeah.
blue liquid.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
also the creepy.
The-
I just thought of something else too.
In Buffy.
Yes, because in season 6, there's a demonic character that has a similar look
Yes.
to his beard.
I knew.
So
I was
that's
waiting for you to
Marco
bring
and
that up.
Polo?
Yeah.
The two creepy ass moon twins that do that interpretive dance
Oh, yeah.
remind me of, his name is Mr. Sweet, the demon.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
Marco and Polo are freaky as hell.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are.
And Mr. Melancholy as well.
Also,
I don't know how
yeah.
they did the effect.
Yeah.
Where like his face is melting and
Yeah.
transforming.
And just the voice, too. Ugh.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Was there significance to when he's eating the cotton candy and he spits in it?
I mean, he splits it down the middle, but for me,
Because I thought it was weird.
related to the scene in a lot of ways where he's able to completely disassociate from his life. Like, his mom is dying.
Yeah.
And he knows this, and she's trying to have this hard conversation with him. Like, are you okay? I know we're having this health scare right now. I want to check in with you. And he's like, I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. And all he can concentrate on is the cotton candy. And, like, I've been there where things are really difficult and you just kind of disassociate and you're like, I'm fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm not going to think about it, so it doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it splitting completely down the middle is definitely... Because nothing seems coincidental in this film. So it could be two sides of himself or a life he could have led if his mom survived and was able to support him through everything. Maybe he could have transitioned. Maybe things would have been different, more hopeful. And then, like, the actual reality that he's now facing with his father, who also, I do believe, is alt somehow. And has just, like, accepted societal pressure and done what was expected, regardless of how miserable and mean it's made him.
Yeah. You know, I think another thing that we didn't, we briefly touched on it, but probably one of the most intense scenes, and you don't even see it happen, but for some reason you can really just picture every bit of it, and it's how it happens in season 6, episode 1 of Buffy, when Maddie talks about getting buried alive to go into this other dimension.
Yeah.
And just how, I forget what she calls the guy, a stoner or a bum or... Burnout, yeah. And she's like, I paid him $50 to bury me alive. Of course, he didn't know he was burying me alive. And the burnout packed the dirt too tight because I told him to. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that entire scene, it's my favorite, I think. It also caused the most visceral reaction.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about, you know what, I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but how high the suicide rates for trans people is. And it's a reality for so many people that they can't be themselves. They feel like they don't have a place in society. They can't exist. And so this is a way out. Suicide for a lot of people is a way to end the pain. Yeah. They're not thinking of anything else. They just want the pain to stop. Yeah. And so listening to her be like, well, this was her solution. Like, she didn't have a place in the world. She didn't know what to do. And she couldn't be herself. So she paid him to bury her alive. And it ended up working out for her. And she was able to figure out who she actually was and recognize that and be in the pink opaque. But
I think here it's also being used as just a metaphor for you're going to have to kill some of your old self. You're going to have to create
very clear like this. Maddie's her dead name. Her name's Tara. Yeah. And that was very clear. But that's my favorite, but also like one of the heaviest parts of this film.
Insane that it plays out in one take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, you don't even see it happen. Maddie just describes it, and the writer director just what a job. Like,
yeah, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
Very visceral writing.
Yeah.
Performance is great too. Very deadpan. Very. This is what happened. But it's also it really just so much symbolism there, and also nods to life experiences lived by so many people.
Did you notice in the Pink Opaque, like in the actual show, that the credits, the lower thirds that they use, were the same font as Buffy?
No.
No, you didn't notice that?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not notice that.
I loved Ice Cream Man.
Yeah. You're so creepy.
No.
Let's have a soup party.
Yeah, how bad was that show?
Yeah.
Like the version it turned into. Like, who would
Yeah.
watch that? Would a kid watch that? I can't
think
imagine.
so.
You know, like
Yeah,
let's
when
have
it
a
was on
soup party.
streaming.
What am I gonna do in the winter? You can become soup. Like what?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
dumb.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, like who's watching that?
But that's the
Dude.
point.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
just
like,
saying, dude.
it's like really cheesy and kind of sucks.
Yeah, would kids watch that?
Which was how some of like the '90s shows were. Like if you look at Goosebumps, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Are You Afraid of
Are
the
You
Dark?
Afraid of the Dark is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah,
as
because-
scary as I remember it being.
yeah, because they're also like a lot of the shows had like the lesson of like the week, like you know, like moralizing to you. It was like that. So yeah, there is a nostalgia. Like when I look back at certain shows, like yeah, that's really bad. But at the time, it was like something you enjoyed, and you know.
Have you guys tried to watch things like Full House or Saved by the Bell lately?
Full House
No.
is so
It's
rough.
yeah, they're terrible.
There's like
now.
barely jokes in Full House.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the cheesy music that plays during the lesson at the end of every single episode. It's just
There's a couple really good YouTube videos that just put Twin Peaks music over Full House, and it makes it so scary. You're like, something really ominous is happening in this house. This is.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that I forgot what was one thing where I tried rewatch. I was like, no, yeah, that's not happening because like I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, no, it had its time and its place, and
Yeah.
that's the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to point out that Emma Stone was like the main producer on this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, her
okay.
company Fruit Tree with her husband, and she like ensured that they would have total creative freedom.
I love that.
They read the script and they were like, "This is amazing! Like, do
what
whatever
you
you want. We will shield you. We will."
I love
yeah.
that.
example number 10,751 why Emma Stone is the greatest human being that has ever lived.
I love her. Yeah.
The ice cream man kind of reminded. There's a Charmed episode where there's a there's a demon. There's a demon who lures. Well, actually, he's not a demon. He's a man who's luring the. Yeah. Anyway, he uses an ice cream truck to lure demonic children so he can take them into a realm where like they can't hurt people anymore.
Specifically, demonic children.
Yes, like they're demonic children, but the Charm sisters think he's the demon, because he's from a long line of ice cream men who have been doing this job. So the song that he plays has a
How did that show last that long?
The
Charmed
90s.
is crazy.
There's a particular tune that he plays that lures. I should have led with that. That lures the demonic children. So if you're not
Why are there so many demonic children?
because there's also a Buffy episode with demonic children. But anyway, it's because demonic children take you off your guard. They can lure you. No one's going to suspect a child.
That's
Oh, it's
true.
like the
no.
black-eyed children, right? Does no one know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
No.
I
Like,
don't.
like the legend where like they approach you in parking lots, they have just completely black out eyes,
Oh.
and they ask for like favors. They ask to
Like,
like
no.
get in your car.
Hell no.
Yeah,
Kid, get
those-
away from me.
Yeah.
Kid.
But anyway, that's what the ice cream truck, because it smokes and it just reminded me of that.
Me and my friend were playing basketball once, and we had a kid come up to us, and like we had, when you're playing basketball, you like throw your stuff on the side, and he came up to our stuff. He was a little kid, and he wanted like, and he just like starts looking at our stuff. So we walk over and we're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "Can I have a Gatorade?" And we were like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have Gatorade. We have water. You want some water?" And he said no. And then he was like, and he's like started like looking at our wallets and looking at our keys. This is a little kid, and he's like, "Can I have money?" And we were like, I didn't have any cash, and I don't think my friend did either. And then he said, "Why are you staring at me?" or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, because like you're kind of looking at our stuff. So like, do you need something?" And he was like, "I'm gonna go back to my mom now." Maybe the kid was a demon. He might have been a demon. I think he was just an awkward kid, but
But that's what the ice cream truck reminded me of. Because also like the way it puffs out the smoke.
Yeah.
Like I said, it reminded me of the Charmed episode. Because whatever. Anyhow,
I mean, I think that
Charmed was iconic. I'm not saying it was the
maybe
best
it's
show.
intentional.
Iconic?
I don't- No, it is.
It is.
Charmed.
Yes.
Yes.
Iconic.
Yes.
I know nothing about Charmed.
On this, Buffy. If you say iconic, I'll say okay.
Okay, fine. But still,
Okay, but like even I know Charmed references, and I've never seen the show. So
If it's not Buffy, it's Charmed. You know what I mean? It's always there's just something.
just fun '90s shows. I mean, she could be talking about Dark Angel, so you know.
What's Dark Angel? Is that just Angel's evil arc?
no,
no.
it's a show about people who were genetically altered. So Jensen Ackles was in the show, and he played like one of the genetically altered
so
people.
Funny. I was on my TikTok feed the other day, Jensen Ackles, when it's Jessica Alba is the main character, and they get paired together, and he's like, we have to.
Never heard of this before.
Oh my god, so funny.
Yeah.
It
not supposed to
is
be.
probably terrible.
It is. Yeah, but I love Jensen Ackles. So
But that period was the time because with Buffy, it sort of showed that supernatural dramas had an audience. So that's why Charmed came out. That's why Dark Angel.
well, even
and-
like a few years later, Supernatural.
exactly.
Happens, and that's a
If
monster
it
of
weren't
the
for
week
Buffy,
show.
you would have none of those other shows. So
I-
Buffy is relevant.
What would the world be like without 18 seasons of Supernatural?
All right, it should have stopped at like
Season 5, but
That's when it was supposed to end. Season 6 is not great. Season 7 is funny. After that, no.
yeah.
I'm only being I know that there's a big following. My wife watched all of Supernatural.
I love Supernatural. Unapologetically, I love Supernatural. But I was one of those Tumblr kids, so it's fine. Yeah.
Is Angel any good?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, and also with Josh Whedon, the way he destroyed the way he destroyed Charisma
Cordelia.
Carpenter and her character, it was very vindictive.
I love Cordy. So yeah, I was not thrilled.
Yeah, she's such a great character, and then
She's a phenomenal character.
yeah. Honestly, he ruined Spike too.
He did ruin Spike.
Yeah.
Pete Campbell's on Angel.
I mean, Joss Whedon made James Marsden have a mental breakdown. So because there's that scene in season 6,
Yeah.
and he had a full-on breakdown and like a
That was
identity
horrific,
crisis.
but I won't. That's off
Yeah.
topic. But yeah, he even physically assaulted him. Like he said, he grabbed him and pushed him against a wall because he was becoming popular with the fans.
I believe it.
Yeah, and so he was physically assaulted by
What
him
a-
as well.
What a terrible little nerd Joss Whedon
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, he did. Like more and more things were coming to light. You know, the abusiveness, even with his like the writing team. I think he made some of the female writers cry. Like he did a lot of things.
Yep. But I'm
So.
glad that we could get something like this
Yeah.
out of all of
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
yeah, much.
So what do we want to rate it out of? Glows?
Luna juices?
Oh,
What did you
what
say?
I'm forgetting. What I'm forgetting. I did actually
Yeah, I wanna make
do
sure I said
some
it.
analysis and research. The pink opaque supposedly is referring to like your skin and flesh, and how it is the pink opaque, and you cannot see what's actually inside someone.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes
Interesting.
sense.
Oh, I was curious what that was a reference to. I
Because
was
it was a very strange name, so I was like, okay, what's up with this? And that's because you can never truly see what's inside someone, and it's for
also pink and blue are the colors of the trans
Yeah.
flag. I just realized. Okay, I had.
It is
sorry.
not subtle.
Why do you
It's
think I
not
brought up
subtle.
the colors an hour ago?
Just because of
Do we want to do it out of Ghosts with Sunglasses? The little pink opaque tattoo?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
those are cute.
We got
Yeah.
temporary tattoos of that at the screening.
Nice.
Oh, I love that. That's cute.
Oh, that's so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
There are a
let's do
couple
it.
of funny things I wanted to bring up.
Oh,
A ninth grader telling a seventh grader that he's a baby. It's
Very
like that's
funny.
like such like
Yeah,
a,
no.
a thing a ninth grader would
Maddie
say.
has some really funny
Yeah.
lines. There's also
Yeah.
it's not a cigarette. It's a black and
Yes,
white.
look, I wrote that down. I wrote that down too. I was like, that's so high school. Like,
Yeah.
like smoking black and white was so high school. And there's a part where Owen's running away, and some people should just not be filmed running.
No.
Just not.
I think
Not
that
a-
was intentional.
No, yeah, and it's a really wide shot.
Just not a good runner.
But yeah, I also like when Maddie's like, "No, it's not a kid's show. Who told you that?
Yeah.
It's way too scary and the themes are too deep."
Which I think also is something that like a lot of literature aimed at teens is sort of disregarded because it's aimed at teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that line basically say where the mythology is too complex, the story is
But
too.
it's also very teen to do that, to be like,
Yeah.
no, this is like really deep. Like,
Yeah.
you're just missing it.
Yeah.
Because literally, I think I've said something similar about Supernatural at one point, and it was not that deep.
Yeah.
It was not that deep.
The first 5 seasons and then.
I'm sure it tried.
Some of it is great, and it took way too long for like them to acknowledge the queerness. But is what it is.
Way too long. You mean like the third to last episode?
Yeah.
So 18 years in.
We knew.
Everyone knew.
Everyone knew. The actors knew. We knew. It's fine. This is not about that.
That's another podcast episode.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. It goes to sunglasses. I mean, I've explained myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think something with this kind of emotional depth and just what a job by the director, just precision and making everything. It's the kind of movie that you watch as I can assume I can speak for Joe here.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of movie you watch as people that really love movies and makes you appreciate the art of making a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just a 5 out of 5, just easily 5 out of 5. Yeah.
But because all of that, yes, gives it a 5 out of 5 for me. But also, I related to a lot of the themes in this, and like, yes, I'm hoping a lot of other queer people do, and I'm sure that was one of the director's intentions. But yeah, I've been in this like slump of like reading and everything where I haven't been like viscerally experiencing something. And so to watch this and like have my chest ache, but also like ache for these characters,
Yeah.
and see like a younger me expressed in a medium like this was really great, because there are other examples, but this is just done so well, and so, like Joe said, raw, and so just like here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is,
Okay.
and I really appreciate it.
Okay, I saw the TV Glow, but it's Batman instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Like I loved it, and I was thinking back, and I'll be quick because I know that we're running. I was thinking back to a friendship that I had when I was very young, and the girl left unexpectedly, and to this day I still think about her every once in a while because I have no idea what happened to her. Like I know her home life situation was really bad because she told me. But like to this day I wonder like where she is, what she's doing. Her name was Jordan, and like that was in the 5th grade, and I never found out what happened to her, like where she went. So every once in a while I still do think about her, and watching the end of this brought her back into my memory. But yeah, it's a truly beautiful film. Yeah.
One last thing, totally not important either. For Simone, it always goes back to Buffy. For me, it always goes back to what?
Euphoria.
Did Isabel not remind you of Zendaya?
I can see
yeah.
that.
Maybe not the aura of Zendaya or the presence of Zendaya, but but just physically look aesthetics.
I
look
I
like
will say
Zendaya.
kind of really does look like a female Justice Smith too. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's kind of insane casting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Really great. Yeah.
Yeah. But I immediately thought Zendaya.
But yeah, I mean, check this movie out. It's amazing.
Yes.
Check out Schoenbrun's other film that came out before this, We're All Going to the World's Fair. Much lower budget, more of incorporates a lot more like screen life stuff. Very, very interesting as well. And yeah, I cannot wait for what they do next. Apparently, they are going to be writing a trilogy of novels, so be on the lookout for that.
Okay. Thanks.
All right,
see you
happy
next
Halloween, folks.
Bye.